Hey everybody, welcome to Ref Time, powered by RTS and produced by Coraggio Media. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Crane. We'll be covering rules, plays, points of emphasis, and all things official. Ref Time, here again with Mr. Brian Browning.
What's up, Brian?
How you doing?
Well, you got to give me your middle name so I can say it all together.
No.
So my middle name is Brian.
What's your first name?
My first name is Terry.
Terry Brian Browning in the house with Ref Time. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
That was good.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I can get a job as an announcer now?
You might be, yeah.
Brian has the announcing voice. He's got all that bass.
He really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Ever done announcing? No. Well, I take that back. When I was probably 12, I used to announce at the Little League.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have done a little bit back in the day.
Did you have a deep voice at 12?
Probably.
Just very professional.
Yes. Well, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
I've watched a lot of your episodes. And
Good.
Glad to be here.
So
Good.
excited to get you on.
So you know we get people on and we fry them. You realize
Yeah,
that's
whatever
what
you
we
want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's easy going. I like that.
He
Well-
said, if you're going to make fun of me, I'm going to make fun of you.
And he will.
So-
I have no doubt that he will. So tell us about yourself, Brian. How'd you've been officiating? I read your bio. I think Tanya sent it to me. So
Yeah, I think this is year 25 we're doing now. So
Now that's just basketball,
Just
though,
for
right?
basketball,
Okay.
yeah,
Because now you officiate volleyball. Is that right?
I am a newer volleyball
2
official.
years is what I saw.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's going good. Volleyball is one of those sports that learned a lot as I go. Never played, watched a little here and there. Just working on getting the feel for the game. But it's basketball, softball, baseball. I don't do baseball, but I played a lot of baseball. They're similar sports, but I have a real good feel for those games. But volleyball is a little bit different animal for me.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
made you choose to get into volleyball?
Just getting older. My knees aren't the greatest. I figure I could do volleyball for a few years after I hang basketball up, whenever that is. So
That was why I made him get his license.
She didn't make me.
Yes, I did.
She didn't make me. I decided that it was best to get my volleyball license because if I didn't, there was going to be trouble in paradise.
yeah, you might as well keep the wife happy.
Whatever, Brian. Whatever.
But no, I've enjoyed the volleyball. But yeah, with getting in with basketball, so I was 28, 29 years old back then, and had no ambition to officiate at all.
Welcome to everybody's world.
Yeah, and a good buddy of mine, we played golf together and hung out a lot. We used to work together.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, let's go get our refereeing license. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, give us something to do in the evenings and, whatever. And I was like, okay. So I just played along, went and took the test. Then you had to go, I think I went to Walketville.
Yeah.
And you had to take the test there and the
Yep.
whole thing. And
Everybody's
Was that when you filled in the bubbles?
oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
And we got our license, and next thing I know, I told him, I'm like, if you get us games, I'll go ref them, but I'm like, I'm not doing the legwork. So we kind of was like, he liked to do all that, and then it come to find out when it was game time, he wouldn't toss or do the book ahead of time. So I had to do all that. So he got us games. I was always the ref. He always drove the locations, and we just kind of took off from there. And that was just, we were doing JV freshman games all over Northeast Indiana. And then about 6-7 years into it, a couple of guys approached me and be like, they're going to 3-man next year for a tournament. Why don't you start doing some games with us so you can get in the tournament? And then once I started doing that and working away from it, I kind of felt bad because he was still wanting to ref some, but then we kind of went our separate ways there. But yeah, that was just some guy talked me into it.
Yeah, and I think in an earlier episode, I made the comment that most people that get into officiating, it's not something we all, as a kid, I want to be a referee, I want to be an umpire one
Right.
day. I don't think most of us come at it like that. It's
But
usually
you have a little buddy who wants to become a referee.
Yeah, so my buddy Deacon, you've seen him with me at the games and such, and usually every Saturday wherever I'm at, he's rolling right with me, and he's been going to games for solid 2 or 3 years. Well, he's been going since he was little, but he goes with me now that he can sit over there and just watch during the game. But he would go out there and ref right now tomorrow if we'd give him a shirt and a whistle. He'd be ready to roll. So
just been watching you a lot.
Oh,
huh?
yeah. So, we'll see how he is by the time he turns 16 or 18 because he's only 10. But
Does he want to throw a technical?
well, I mean, he likes the red and yellow cards
He likes
better.
the cards?
The cards better than the actual tee. But no, I think that he just likes because we're out there doing it and just everything. He's always asking questions. So we'll see.
I always felt like technicals were easier than cards. When I got into volleyball, I didn't feel comfortable with the cards. I always felt like, well, if they're if they're being unsporting, why can't I just give them a technical? Why do I have to hold a card up?
Because volleyball is the
sophisticated sport.
Not sophisticated. It's the, what did she say? It's the, oh man, I lost it.
Structured?
No, I was telling her when I first got trained in volleyball, the lady got up front and she said civilized. She said this,
there you go.
She said, this is the civilized sport. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. And I found out it is more civilized than basketball.
It is definitely more civilized than basketball.
It's more civilized than a lot of aggressive sports.
Yeah.
But my tee's right here. It's easy to locate.
Right.
Now, where's my red card and where's my yellow?
Right.
So what I decided to do recently, and nobody told me, I just kind of came up with I put the red card in my right pocket, and then the left card's in the other pocket.
Yep.
I don't know if that's
actually
other people
what I do.
that, but I was just like, if I went, where am I? Because I don't want to pull both cards out and fumble around and then look awkward. Yeah.
And then drop one all the way when you're
up on the ladder.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind.
Or worse yet, this coach is acting up. You drop. Hey, can you hand me that card so I can card your coach, please?
I need your captain to come pick this up for me.
So volleyball, you've been in it 2 years.
Yeah.
Give me this. Compare basketball to volleyball. Civilized versus whatever.
Yeah, I
I
mean.
don't think there's a comparison, but
Yeah, I mean, I did a varsity tournament, believe it or not, over the weekend.
Volleyball?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How'd
And
that go?
Where at?
It went at North Miami.
okay.
That's her old stomping ground.
Yeah.
That's where she
Yeah,
graduated
that's where I
from.
graduated.
It went well. I mean, I did 4 games down there, and between
who's
us.
their varsity coach now?
It's a new gal. I don't
Okay.
remember her name. I had them 1 game, but yeah, they won. But all the fans were sitting way up top, so they're not near you. Like, it's not like basketball.
Right.
So the only thing that really went awry all weekend was there was 1 game that I had when I was on the ladder. One of the line judges was struggling. I just don't think her judgment was good. There was a couple of them, and I didn't overrule her. Maybe should have on a couple, but it was, I'm kind of looking down at it, and I can't really tell if it hit the line or if it didn't hit the line.
Right.
She's looking right down through there, so I'm trusting that she was right.
Mm-hmm.
But all the crowd's sitting right up there looking straight down that line, and they're booing and hooing. And, minus that, I mean, I feel like I got the mechanics down.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, I've been studying the rules and getting up on all that. It's just really for me the feel of the game, keeping track of the rotations, who's in the back row, who's not. I mean, I find that difficult.
It is.
Well,
it is
and
very
I
difficult.
tell people it took me probably 4 or 5 years to really get comfortable with rotation.
And you really have to focus on it. You have to focus on
and I
studying
was using
it.
a card back then.
Yeah, and they kind of don't want you to, but it's just like once they start subbing, I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's where it gets tricky for me. Now, you keep track of the key players, know where they're at. I mean, if they're serving to 8, the big girl every time, or setting to the big girl every time, okay, keep an eye on her because she's spiking it every other play. But, minus that, it's a challenge for me to keep track of all of them.
Well, and that was one of the things they talked about this year was the use of the card. That they're not. In Indiana they do discourage it, but if you need to use a card, just use it so it's not distracting. It's not taking away from the game. So they're not saying
They don't
not
forbid
to.
it. But they discourage it.
And then there are going to be certain officials that you'll work with that'll be like, no, you can't. Like you're not supposed to use a card because they're used to not using a card. But if I'm working with somebody and I know that you're fairly new, use a card. Just try not to. Like I know I would tell him, I'm like, you got to move quicker, like because the girls are ready to serve the ball, and I still I see that you're still marking, and so we've got to try to keep it moving so that they don't.
Yeah, and I've thought about that a little bit because I'm newer to the sport, and I was thinking, it's 2023, the electronics, all the fancy stuff we can do. Why can't they just have, like the secondary clock that they have for basketball? Just have one with both teams' lineups on the front right over there, and they sit right over there at the scores table, and there's the front row, there's the back row, there's the front row, there's the back row, and you see somebody on line. There's no way I'm going to remember who's everywhere all the time. I just don't know why they easily couldn't have 2 electronic.
That would be beautiful.
That is a good idea.
But I've never seen that, like even with pro level or college or nothing. It's just like, but you would think that'd be so easy to do since it's.
Yeah.
Well, part of it is, I think teams, just like in basketball, they kind of use that as an advantage if they can get away with it.
Yeah.
And in high school, there's a lot of officials who say that they don't need a card. They say that they know where they are. moving right along. We know that they don't always.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it, 16 years, and there's still times
we miss things.
I'm looking at them and I'm thinking,
Is that
something
right?
doesn't seem
look
right.
right. Yeah.
And I, I won't call it if I don't know, because if I can't explain it, then I'm not going to call it.
Right.
Yeah. But, the other day we were doing a match, and I mean, it was just automatic. I knew 100% that they were out of rotation, and when I called it, Coach never said a word. She was like, "You're supposed to be over here," so she got him in the right lineup, and so and a lot of times I don't think the girls mean to do it.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure they don't, right? I mean,
know.
it's and imagine how hard it is just for them, and there's just they know all of them.
Now, the ones that do mean to do it are the ones that leave early.
Yeah,
So like your setter, a lot of times if she's back row, she's in a hurry to get to the front, so she'll leave way before the ball's even served.
And the libero sometimes.
Yeah.
We were doing a game the other night, and the libero kept doing that, and she
The
kept
libero
looking at
kept
me.
standing
She
next
says,
to the
"Are
one
you
in the
gonna
middle.
call that?" And I go, "I didn't even notice it." But when I noticed it, she is getting an unfair advantage. So she did it again. I watched her. And then I said, "Okay, tweet." And when I called it, Coach never said a word. I think the coach did ask
the coach
who it
asked
was.
who it was.
And then she never argued it because she knew.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's for sure the hardest part with volleyball.
I think it has been for me. And I've been doing volleyball, 9, maybe 10 seasons.
Yeah.
And I still haven't gotten that down. That's something that I'm working on. But like she said, it's something that she focused on. And I've been telling myself, okay, Crane, you got to focus on that. Because once you focus on it, you'll get it. We always know in officiating, there's something you're weak on. If you focus on, you'll get it. And then you become much stronger official.
Yeah. And then the subs, I mean, that's where it just gets, they sub so often. That's always a challenge. But
Yep.
But no, it's fun. It's fun for me because I'm learning a lot as I go.
I haven't been able to even work a game with you.
Well, I just live down the
You're
street.
just so busy.
Now, you're still the chairperson of your association up there?
Yeah, so, when I first started back in the day, I lived up in Kendallville, so I always went to the Tri-State Association. I still work in the Auburn area. So when Steve Keck got out of the basketball chair, I took over for him 9 years ago.
Okay.
And so I've been doing the basketball chair up there forever. We just have the meetings up there by my work. A lot of times right there.
Yeah, we've been to a few of your meetings.
Yeah.
I like Tanya's meetings better because she has food. Hint, hint. I'm just saying.
Well, mine are volleyball meetings, though. So.
Yeah, so there you go.
So, but you're the chairperson of basketball.
Just basketball.
So you've done volleyball for 2 seasons, basketball for
20.
This will be 25.
25.
Yeah, so 24, 25 coming
and
up.
how many more seasons did you see yourself in basketball?
Depends how good the knees hang up, you know. I mean, last season went pretty good. I did a bunch of games, 89 games between college and high school, just varsity. I'm not counting all the other stuff that you get involved in.
Right.
My right knee is not the greatest, and then I tweaked my left knee this summer, so we'll just have to see how that goes.
You think you're getting younger, don't you, Brian?
I do think I'm getting older. But I maybe it'd be nice maybe get 30 years in.
Yeah.
Do we get medals or anything?
Well, probably not. I mean, I may buy myself one.
I think you get a watch.
Yeah.
Not.
No.
But yeah, basketball's been good to me. I've worked a lot of different places, a lot of good venues, a lot of good players. I've been fortunate over the years. People let me tag along with them, and we go do games, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I'll miss it when I hang it up, I'm sure.
So give us a career highlight.
Career highlight, just like of a specific game?
Anything, whatever you think a career highlight.
Whatever you think.
Could be a span of time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 games that I feel like were probably, good venues and good players there. So the first one would have been back in, I even have it written down here, been the 08-09 season at the Valpo Regional. It's the only regional I've ever worked. Okay. So it's kind of a career highlight. And Skylar Diggins was there, if you know who she is.
Yeah. Skylar,
I think we know who Skylar is.
She was a hooper.
Yeah, so they pretty much just boat raced everybody at that regional. But I worked one game, and I was the alternate at the table for the other game. Valparaiso. I don't know if you've ever been over there, but they got a nice campus and basketball gym there, and it was just just nice. And turns out it's the only regional I've ever worked, so it's pretty easy to keep track of.
Wow.
And then I would say this year, and I've worked 16 girls sectionals, so I've been at it for a while. I've done 13 boys sectional. They sent me to Elkhart twice. I don't know if you've ever worked at the Northside Gym up there, but it's, I think, the 4th biggest gym in the state, maybe. And
now, what's the first biggest gym?
It's
Is
Newcastle, I believe.
Okay,
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Is Anderson anywhere listed in there?
Well, the Wigwam shut down, I believe. I think they
Right.
condemned it or closed it. But
Right.
yeah, it was up. It was. I don't know what it was on the list when it was active, but it was. It's a big gym also, but I don't know where it's at.
Because I went to Anderson, it seems like 3 times last year, and I was looking around. This is a big school. I didn't realize Anderson, the new school, was that big.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did I ref at Anderson? Did you go with me?
I think so.
So this the new gym you worked in, or the old
yeah,
gym?
the new one.
Oh, so I don't know how big the new gym is. The old gym, which was the Wigwam, which they shut down.
Yeah, they did close that.
Yeah, that was.
Well, at least they moved their games from there. I don't know if they closed it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're saying that the Wigwam it seated more people than you think the new gym?
I'm pretty sure, but I would have to look it up to see.
Yeah. Because we've never done a study on that, the largest gyms. I guess the IHSA probably has that listed, the largest gyms in the state.
Well, and if you look at the list, the largest gyms in the state also turn out to be the largest gyms in the country. So Indiana has like the top 9 of the 10 biggest gyms in the country for high
Which
school.
makes sense. I mean, basketball.
That's what we do here,
That's
right?
what we
do.
But anyway, so this year I got sent up to Elkhart, and that was a nice sectional, and another Mr. Basketball, the Burton kid from Penn.
Okay.
He was playing in that one. Just the atmosphere, the good crowds. I mean, we did have an overtime game in one of the first or second day game. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, just a neat place to go. So
what would you say then, Brian, as far as all the sports you do, what would you say is your strength as an official? One overall strength that you think you're known for?
That's a good question, but I mean, I would like to think that my judgment, my play calling is strong. I mean,
you're getting that feedback, you think, from coaches?
I don't talk to a lot of coaches personally, but I just I don't get a lot of complaints. I watch a lot of film. I watch highlights of my games, and I'm not perfect by any means. None of us are, but more times than not, I feel like I like where I'm at with my judgment and that ability.
So if a younger official was shadowing you, what would you tell him or her is something that they need to work on in order to become, I guess, a seasoned veteran like yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that goes into being a good official.
Amen.
But
Amen.
A few notes that I kind of wrote down was, you got to get the calls right, and right, wrong, or indifferent. At the end of the day, when you go back to look film, your observer might be like, okay, well, you got straight line there, you need to be over a little bit more. But the bottom line is, and what people are going to get mad about, was the call right or wrong.
Right.
And generally when I do find that I miss a call or don't have the best angle, and it's something you have to put a whistle on, when I'm generally wrong, it's generally when I'm not in the best position.
Mm-hmm.
So but even before you get in the right position, just learning to be a new official, the consistency, knowing, block charge, what are you looking for? You're refereeing the defense. There's a lot of things that go into it. And as you know, block charge is one of the more difficult 50-50 plays to get in our game. And, when I talk about consistency, what you call block charge today may not be what you call block charge tomorrow. It might be, you got a block charge, early in the game. You have 50-50 call and you go block. I got the same play down at the other end. I just know that if I call a charge on a similar call, you're going to have some people that are upset. If you got the same call, now once again, it's got to be similar. It can't be just complete, oh, well, I'm matching his charge. Well, it wasn't a charge, right? It was an obvious block.
Right.
If it's an obvious block, you go obvious block. But that's where the consistency, know what to call, when to call, and that kind of sets the tone for the game. And you got to be aware of that, because like I said, what you call today may not be the exact same call you have tomorrow based on, how the game goes and the flow of the game. And
now, he sounds like a veteran. That's what a veteran would say.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. But as I listen to you, I'm thinking new officials. That to me is a really, really hard thing to teach, because as you were speaking, I was going, I know where he's going, and you went exactly there. If the three of us are doing the game down here, we have a charge.
Yeah.
We come down here, it's a similar call, And a new official might call a block
Yeah.
and justify it. Yeah, okay, you justified it, but at the same time, now we got to split in the coaching ranks. Now we got to deal with this coach. We got to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can make it similar, then that's kind of a veteran approach.
Mm-hmm.
But a young official is not going to understand. Oh, that's cheating. No, it's not cheating.
Yeah, and we're
It's
talking
good game
50
It's called
management.
We're
game
talking,
management and
you know,
consistency.
We're talking 50-50 calls, not a
Right.
70-30 call, right? I mean,
right.
you've been with somebody that just, boom, they call a block, and you're like, whoa, wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not going to change their call or do anything
Right.
like that, but it's just like, okay. But then you get a charge down the other end, and, you know, the coach is probably going to be upset because, you know, there was just kind of maybe a, you know, mediocre. And that's what's tough about, you know, we got 3 officials out there. We don't all see stuff the same way. I've worked with you 2 enough to know that we wouldn't have a problem, but, you know, there's just some people that maybe, you know, you've done that before, right? You're just not in sync with them.
Yep.
Right.
And it makes for a long night. I had 1 or 2 games like that this year where,
Yes, sir.
you know, we're
That's
out there
so
and
hard.
you're just not in sync. You
Yep.
just walk off the court and you're just like, man,
We sucked.
I don't feel great about that.
And then you're thinking you don't want to work with the person again.
Yeah, and, you know, I've never really went there, you know.
In your mind?
Yeah, maybe.
Come on now.
Maybe in my mind,
Oh,
but
now he's giving me a maybe. At least I got a maybe out of him.
But I don't have anybody blacklisted. I'll work with anybody. You know, I don't really have that type of problem. It's just that
I'll be honest with you guys. There is one person that I have blacklisted, but it's not a problem because, unfortunately, he died. And I'm being serious.
Yeah.
He passed away.
Yeah.
So, but there was one person I was like, I never want to work with that person again. And then when
Yeah.
he died, I'm going, okay, that's easy.
Yeah,
Not to
right.
be mean, but I'm just saying. I mean, I like the guy, but you're right. On the court, when you're not in sync with somebody, and you can't get in sync, I think that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you've worked with them enough, you realize we don't see eye to eye. Then to me, you should not work with that person again because it makes it bad for everybody involved. The players don't get a fair shot. The coaches don't get a fair shot. Does that make sense?
No, I see what you're saying. And, you know, I kind of take a different approach a little bit with if I do get stuck with working with somebody that I feel like that we're not on the same page generally. I'll just, you know, if I'm the R, I'll pregame it, or if whoever's doing our little pregame, a couple of the things we'll talk about, you know, maybe it's just like, you know, maybe they call a game real tight and they call a lot of, you know,
ticky-tack.
yeah, that kind of stuff that maybe you don't want to get involved in, you know, bring that up. And don't point fingers or nothing, just talk pregame how you want the game to go.
Right.
And then maybe that helps, you know. I mean, it's just, like I say, that's what's tough about basketball is just because you got 3 people out there and
You never know who you're gonna get.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you're all working trying to do the same game. Now in a baseball or softball game, right? If I'm behind the plate, you don't have to worry about balls and strikes if I have you out on the bases.
Right.
So the consistency there doesn't really overlap as much. In basketball, you got to be
Yes.
you got to be on the same page or it can be a rough night.
Yeah, because it's close proximity. You're working in a very, very confined area. A lot of pressure on you.
Yeah. But in my opinion, you know, basketball is the most challenging sport of all the sports I've done.
Okay.
I feel like someone was telling me the other day that there's more rules in, was it softball?
I think he said football.
More rules in football?
Was that when we had?
It could have been.
Yeah.
More rules in football than there are in basketball. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because I think there are so many rules in basketball. And
Yes.
not just the number of rules, but the rules within the rules.
And,
It's like,
and it happened so quick.
yeah, and then there's that. And then there's everybody is surrounding you. And so it's not like football, you know, where the crowd is off in the distance, you know, and you probably don't hear them. Whereas in basketball, you know, we're all in the same gym where, you know, everybody's hearing everybody. And
Now, let me throw this out at you guys. Do you guys think that if you can do basketball, you can do just about any sport? Because of what you just said.
I think there's a lot of things that go with the, you know, I think that the answer to your question just straight up, I think yes, I think you
I
could.
agree.
Now, for me to do football, like I've been asked to do football a number of times, could I do football? Probably. But I've just never had the ambition enough to, I don't know.
You don't want to.
Yeah, football doesn't appeal to me.
Right.
Well,
For
I don't
whatever
want to do an
reason.
outdoor activity. We've had this discussion.
Yeah,
so-
yeah,
Well, why are you looking at me? He
Yeah.
brought it up.
But no, you brought it up.
yeah.
No, he brought up football.
But for you know, for real though, I just started doing volleyball, which I knew very little about, you know.
I'm the same way. I knew nothing about volleyball.
And so you're right there with me, right?
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
so if you have a lot, because I had a number of people watch me last year, like Linder and Blevins and the Interlines, a lot of guys that are pretty good at volleyball, and they're like, oh, you know, okay, not bad, you know, you know, for but I got my mechanics, and different things. I don't point like this. I use the pointer finger, and
right.
So I kind of have a good whistle. So just all those little things that go along with, you communicate with coaches, you know how to talk to people.
Right.
Yeah, so you kind of look like you know what you're doing.
Right.
Then you go out there and like, ooh, who's this guy?
Right.
But they say fake it till you make it.
But with the volleyball, I'm definitely more comfortable at R2 to this point than I am with R1. There's a lot of stuff that goes on down there at R2.
Yeah.
But I'm right there, and I've picked up on that pretty good. I don't have to watch the ball handling. I'm not responsible for the rotations as much.
Right.
I can do all the other stuff.
And what's interesting is R2 has, to me, that there's a lot of basketball skills that are intertwined in being an R2. Communication with the coaches, table, keeping track with the statistics of, well, I guess we don't keep a lot of statistic tracks, but you're right, you just don't have as many, I think you have more responsibility as an R2 than
you got to do the lineups, make sure everybody's set, and everything else, and
have more.
Administer. Like I said, because I was at one of the meetings, I don't remember which one. It might have been the clinic I went up to in Northwood for volleyball, but I think that the guys there were speaking that they think that R1's easier to learn than R2, and they're recommending new officials. Yeah. Just because you're working with a newer guy, don't put him at R2. Don't be afraid to put the new guy at R1.
Right.
Because there's a good R2 can make the game go pretty smooth.
Yep, because even as an R2, I can suggest to my R1, hey, that was a lift.
Yes.
Or, hey, I think that was a double.
Right.
So if you're new up there and, and we have good communication, you'll see that, as an R2, I might suggest, hey, that was a double.
Yeah.
And you can choose to call it or not call it. That's, that's the option as the R1. So.
And she's helped me a lot with that because a lot of times she's the R2 and I'm the R1, and she'll ask me, she said, well, you want to go up or down? I'm looking at her going, this is a pretty tough match. I think I'm going to go up. And most new officials be like, oh, up, yeah, because I know that all I have to do is call the basic stuff, and if I miss something, she's going to be able to, that was 4, and I'm going to tweet.
Yeah.
4. And then I tell new officials, that's where teamwork comes in.
Yeah.
She has certain strength in certain areas. I have strength in other areas. You bring those together, you have a good match. You have a good game. Duh. That's what they have more than one official.
All right, we're going to transition.
Okay. Let's transition.
All right, so we'll go back to basketball because you've been doing that for 25 years. Do you have almost 25 years?
He's just a little bit more comfortable in basketball,
right?
Probably.
I'm pretty good at volleyball now, though, too. Watch out.
All right,
I'm joking.
So in either sport,
I know just enough to be dangerous, but go ahead.
Do you have any pet peeves, any rules that kind of stick out to you that kind of?
I do have some wrote down here. So my number one pet peeve, if you really want to make me mad, and I don't know why kids do this. We're standing, from me to Crane to each other. We get, ball goes out of bounds. They don't like the call. They're mad at me for whatever reason, and they either just drop the ball or roll it away. And now my blood's boiling.
Because that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
So disrespectful.
And so I try not to show emotion when I'm out there. I want to try to be, I have what I call my game face because people always tell me you need to smile more. You need to. I'm not in a bad mood generally when I'm out there. It's really just my game face. But yeah, that gets my blood boiling.
Well, when I work with you, I make you smile.
Yeah, so. I know, and I try to. I've been trying for 25 years. But
wow, you have not gotten it down in 25 years.
It's my game face, for real. I mean, it is. You get out there and you're just working, right?
I agree.
And
you're
just
focused.
Just your game face, and you mad? No, I'm not mad. Just my game face.
But you're right. I hate that too. As a matter of fact, I had a game a few weeks ago, and a kid did that to me, and I said, "Hey, go get that." And he looked at me and rolled his eyes. I said, you either go get that or I'm going to tech you. And he looked at me and said, what? Go get that now or I'm going to throw you a tech. We're not discussing it again. His teammate said, man, go get it. And he went and got it. He brought it back and dropped it. I said, pick it up. He goes, what? I said, pick it up. And he pick it up and handed it to me. I said, that's disrespectful. Yeah. I said, that's just disrespectful. And when I go over there on the sideline, the coach asked me what the problem was. And I said, Coach, he just disrespected me as an official. And the coach was wanting to take his side. And then the other kid who was standing, no, Coach, nope, he's right. And I had hit the kid with a tech because he had attitude. And he says, Coach, no. He told him 3 times. And the coach goes, look, I told you before. So the coach knew that he was an attitude problem. Yeah. But I tell you one, and just piggybacking off that, one thing that bothers me is when a player shows disrespect and a grown adult coach defends it.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That just burns me.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just
or the
perpetuating
parents. The parents do it too.
Yeah.
Why don't you leave him alone? Just do your job.
Oh my goodness!
But that is my job. My
That
job
is-
is to babysit your.
Because you didn't
Out of
raise your
control
kid right,
child.
and I have to out here during the game, and now you want to take his side.
And then here's the thing they don't think about. We just talked about 50-50 plays for a little bit ago. You get a 50-50 play going down the lane, and that kid's involved in it.
He's not going to
probably
probably get the
not
call.
gonna
I mean,
be
just
his-
saying.
Just
You
saying.
might want to be on our good side if you want a 50-50 call to go your way.
Oh, you're cheating. No, it's a 50-50. And I just
Yeah.
went the other way.
Because how many times can you go watch video and you're going to say it was one way, you're going to
Yep.
say it's the other way, and I'm not saying I'm not going to make stuff up or give
Right.
somebody the doubt of a
Right.
call, but you got 50-50 call and this guy just rolled the ball away from you 3 minutes ago.
He's not my favorite player.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
And
Especially if I
don't-
had to tell him 2 or 3 times
Right.
to go get the ball.
Now I will say on top of that, why it's a pet peeve of mine, it doesn't happen often.
Right.
But it'll happen a few times a year where
Yes.
and I get it, somebody's having a bad day, you try to give them the benefit of the doubt like you did, but then they just, roll the eyes or keep going and be like, give them a chance. But, hey, if you're not going to be respectful to me, then don't respect anything in return.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, I
good
love
stuff.
it when they want to come up and tell us something or whatever, and then we just kind of look at them. Oh, I can't talk to you. I can't ask you a question. Well, you're not asking me a question. You're telling me. And so, when you get to ask the question, then maybe we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
But
And then another pet peeve would be kind of similar to that is and you just mentioned like begging for calls, right? It's like
I call that no, I'm not going to say that.
so Crane has a term for it, but yeah, the begging for calls, and all you gotta do is put a little nugget in my ear, right?
Right.
I'll listen. Hey, will you watch 12? He's got
That's all I
doing this
need.
or that.
That's
You don't
all I
have to
need.
come up and tell me like you say telling me, but just put a little nugget in the ref's ear. They'll listen.
in a polite.
Yeah. Hey, you watch 12?
Right.
He's all over me.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
12's pushing me. Why'd you call? No. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. It's the approach, right?
Yeah,
It is.
exactly.
And it's the approach with us with coaches sometimes too. Sometimes you go over there and heat of the moment, maybe you come on a little too strong. That's why you try to just be even keel.
Yep.
But sometimes and I've done it a time or two where you like came on a little strong. All right, let's back up here.
Yep.
But it happens. But heat of the moment, we're out here trying to do a good job. You got a nice competitive game. That's where you make your money right there.
Yep.
Very good. And you
Got
got a
another
list
one?
over there, so you probably
No, I mean we could talk for 5 hours if we go over all this, but I just wanted to make sure in case I wanted to try to remember something.
he wants
it
to
was
have
all
a
right here.
5-hour
Yeah.
podcast.
We can't do that today.
You sure?
Yeah.
Brian is special.
Maybe next week.
Adam will kill us.
Oh, okay.
So
We're all good. But yeah,
All right,
those
so-
would be a couple of my pet peeves.
Okay.
I like those. I agree with those.
Yeah, I do.
100%.
I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
And those are ones I probably would not have thought of if I hadn't given it a lot of thought, but you're right.
Yeah.
That's why I brought my notes.
You're absolutely right, though. I hate that disrespect from kids. And, I've said it before, I'm old school, so I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of patience with
I think
young
we're all
people.
old school.
Yeah, don't show a lot of
And
disrespect.
that's one thing as a new official, though, I find that it's hard for them to understand what we're talking about.
Correct.
Yeah.
They would allow certain things like this. They
Yeah.
would allow players to talk to them in
Yeah.
a disrespectful tone.
People
Well,
get to
it's okay. They
It's
can
a
say
free
that.
country.
It's
They're
okay.
allowed to say what they
And
want.
I'm like,
You can.
no.
There's just consequences to
As,
saying what
as
you
a new
want.
official, I think it's an intimidation thing, and they're intimidated and they don't want to penalize
True.
because they're afraid it might affect them in the future. They're afraid for whatever reason. But it's like, no, you cannot allow players, coaches, fans, you cannot allow them to act like that because it only gets worse.
And that's what's harder for younger people that
Mm-hmm.
are getting into the gig. I mean, in my notes when I talk about, I wrote some stuff down here because you're going to get to recruiting in a little bit, but I feel like it's hard for younger people in general because a lot of the coaches and, maybe the players are a similar age. I mean, it's just hard to, because you're in charge, right? And, that's just a big step for a lot of people.
Well, and it's hard to ref your peers.
Yeah.
And so definitely if we're getting younger, the younger generation, and it's hard for them to officiate their own age bracket. But, that's why I tell them, well, when you come in, you're not going to ref, you don't want to ref your age. You want to ref younger. Like we just had a 15-year-old come through our training, and I'm telling him, I'm like, okay, so when you start officiating, which he can officiate third graders, fourth graders, fifth. I said, that's the level that you're going to start out at because they're not your peers, first of all, and secondly, they'll look at you and be like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, that's cool.
Yeah,
you know?
they look up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too with younger people. Whether you're, 15, 16. Well, how old can you be to start reffing? What's the youngest you've trained?
18.
Well,
18.
15 is the youngest that we've trained. Well,
Right.
actually, Sydney was the youngest we trained because I think we started her at
She's
12.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but this young man has probably been the youngest that we've trained.
Formally through the
Yeah.
Because the
class.
IHSAA are letting kids get their license at 16 now, right?
Well, it's
it's
a preliminary license.
They can't actually do high school,
But they
Yeah.
do middle school, right?
Yes. Yeah, they can
Yeah.
do non-IHSAA sanctioned games.
Gotcha.
which
So
middle school
middle
is.
school
Yeah.
and elementary level. They could do men's leagues. I mean, you could,
Yeah.
put it
Which
out there,
Which
but-
is good. I mean,
Yeah.
back to being a good official. You were asking me earlier, but about judgment and whatever. You got to see plays. I mean, you got to see plays.
Over
you got
and
to
over.
you got to see plays. You got to be confident of blowing the whistle. You got to be confident. Okay, I blew that whistle, and I don't need to blow the whistle.
Yep.
Because we're gonna put air in the whistle, and we'll be like, okay.
Yep.
But it's just the way it
Been there, done that.
But you don't do it as much as you used to.
Right.
But fewer and far between. But you just got to see plays.
Yep.
Now, I got to ask you guys a question. This has been running in my mind since you guys started this conversation. So, looking at younger officials, meaning the younger generation, do you think the younger generation may be a little bit more tolerant to allow players to talk in ways we wouldn't because their generation has been taught that you have to let people say what's on their mind and feelings matter more to the younger generation? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I really haven't worked with that many 20 or under officials. I mean, it's always been, there's a few younger guys now, maybe 25 or 23 or something.
And that's the generation I'm talking
yeah,
about.
and, guys I've worked with like that. And, I don't know that I've seen, I don't know if it's that as much as it's just getting the experience to be, have the courage to call, it's hard giving technicals. I mean, I remember, first few technicals I gave way back in the day, right? It's like, oh, I don't need to give a technical. But then they cross the line, right? Somebody, says a word they shouldn't, or they wave you off, or what, it just, boom, kick the ball up in the fifth row. I mean, all automatic technicals. So, it's just, having the courage to do it, because I feel like that since it's not something that happens every game, and it's not that often, you just need to know, okay, oh, yeah, that's a technical. I'm calling it.
So you don't think the younger generation tolerates more?
I can't speak to, I guess I don't know per se if that's the reason, or if it's just...
What do you think? No? I mean, it's fine. I'm just getting you guys.
Because I think if you train the people and they know, okay, this is this and that's that, I think they would call it.
Okay.
I think it's just a matter of having the experience. I think, my opinion, it's more with their age and lack of experience than it is of how they were grown up. Because I think you can train them to call what should be called.
Okay.
Would be my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think on that same note, though, I guess in some respect, I think that they are using their own feelings though too. Like, oh, well, that doesn't really bother me. I'm going to allow that. Because I mean, we've heard it out of Sydney. Like, oh, well, it doesn't bother me when they use the F word.
I was thinking about
And
it.
I'm thinking-
She's the one I was thinking about because
Yeah.
her generation seems to take that more.
And not that the F word doesn't necessarily bother me.
It's
but
just unsporting.
It's unsporting, and who are you using, and how loud are you being with it? So that's a factor I think that we all take into consideration. Like, if you're saying it loud enough that everybody in the gym can hear you, you want this technical.
Yeah, but you're right. But when I think about Sydney and people her age, they do hear that word a lot more in many situations, so they're more tolerant of that word.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a great example.
But
that word
I
being
think that
used.
word also incites anger.
So would she text somebody if they said it that loud so the whole gym would hear it? I'm not sure she
I
would.
don't know.
And I'm not sure
That'd be a
that
great question for
generation would.
Sydney.
Yeah. And I'm not dogging that generation. I just thought about that because I've worked with some younger ones, and it seems like they tolerate more than me and some other. I just look at them going,
Yeah,
I wouldn't let that coach say that to me. I wouldn't let that coach say something like that about my partner. If I'm working with the two of you and he says, you got to help Browning over there. He sucks tonight. Well, I'm going to penalize that as though you said it about me.
Right.
Or I'm going to at least put you in your place so you won't say it again.
Right.
But-
Because that's a conquer and divide. Is that how you
Right,
say that?
right.
So
But Brian, you could
divide
be
and
right.
conquer.
You
Yeah.
could be right. Maybe it's something that it can be taught. Maybe it's not a generational thing. It seems
there
like
probably is something there. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience working with many people in the younger generation, but I would still think that year after year, as they gain more experience, they'll just know that, okay, yeah, we're not tolerating that.
And I could be reaching for straws here.
Yeah.
I was just asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could be onto something there, though. I'm sure there are some generational things that carry over into the officiating that probably affects people's,
Yeah, because I've talked to some younger players, and they say, I'm and it's my opinion, but I'll go, younger generation, you guys are softer. And they look at me and go, man, it's just the game today. Okay, but I think the game has gotten softer. And they don't like it.
Yeah.
And I say, look, I'm not saying anything negative about you guys. I know the game has evolved, but the contact is different. You guys, you're crying and complaining more. That's different. And so I just wonder if it spills over into the ones that come into officiating as well. I could be wrong, and I could be way off base. Maybe I'm just an old fuddy-duddy. I don't know.
But if you look, I mean, we didn't watch much 60s ball. I just watched the Hoosiers movie recently, right? And you watch that.
Were you sitting there cheering?
Yeah, oh yeah. But I got a kick out of when Norman Dell got thrown out of the game on purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
He starts yelling at the ref. He's like, "You either throw me out of here, or I'm going to do something to get thrown out of here. You're out of here." But anyway, I find that funny.
You're making me want to go watch it.
Yeah.
Now.
But anyway, during the movie, you watch the play, right? It's below the rim. There's a lot of set plays. It's not up and down the floor. You're not as athletic, So
you'll never see a Euro step out there.
Yeah, correct. Right. You just didn't have that drive. There's always back cut layup,
Yes, sir. Yep.
And so it was a different game, and that's and that was still even in the 80s, right? Early 90s. I mean, it was probably about when things got more athletic and more up and down, and
yeah. I mean, because I played in college and I graduated in '84. But I mean, it was what I thought was a fast game back then. Probably now it's slow motion.
You go watch the video, guys. You'd be like, "Boy, I thought I was faster than that."
I thought I was fast. Probably. So I guess I better leave that topic alone.
Yeah, we'll leave.
But I think it was just more of the sets, right?
Yeah.
You ran more half court stuff, and you didn't, like a lot of teams now they get it and want to push, and fire the three.
When I'm officiating, I don't think about it in those terms like you guys need to be set. No. It's not like that with me. It's just the player attitudes have changed, and sometimes it's not fun as an official because a lot of players nowadays are disrespectful. That's why the ones that are respectful stand out of my mind, and I love officiating them, especially ones who are respectful and they have game.
That starts with the coach.
You're absolutely right.
So there are schools that we can go to, and you can tell that coach has the players in check.
The coach is the coach, and the players are the players.
He'll make sure they go get the ball, that they bring the ball to us. They'll hand us the ball.
They're respectful.
I go to hand the ball. They'll thank you, ma'am. And
I'm looking at Brian's face. He's like, I could think of a few schools like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but for real though, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the sportsmanship, I think overall is pretty good at the high school level.
Yes,
and at the college level.
I agree. Yeah,
right.
Yes.
You'll get a few outliers here and there, and just whatnot, like anything in life.
Yeah.
But I think in general it's pretty good.
So you do what level of college? I know we know, but tell the audience what level of college you do.
Yeah, so about 5 or 6 years I've been doing NAIA and D3 women's college basketball as well. So
and that's what we've worked with you on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So which level you prefer, high school or college?
Just most of my notes and everything I think of. I mean, the excitement around the high school game is just higher. So I like the high school game just because of the atmosphere, I grew up watching a lot of high school ball. I don't mind reffing the women's college. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
We've done some games together.
Yep.
And they run a lot.
Yeah, but you don't have the crowd. It's just more of moms and dads and
Right.
a few students and
a lot of running.
And yeah.
Did I say that already?
Yeah, well, the court's longer, so
And the court is longer.
And
so that
the
makes a difference.
halves, and they love to
the
run.
quarters
yeah,
are longer.
Yeah, 8 minutes longer. The court's longer. Everything about it's a little longer,
Yep.
but
Well,
I enjoy
and
it.
depending on the school you go to, or depending on what they have going on, sometimes they bring in their lower level kids. Like we did a game at Manchester last year, and they brought in some of the elementary kids.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And so they just had a whole crowd, and they were
Yeah.
yelling, and they didn't know what they were yelling about. They were just yelling, and so that was fun. Just having those extra people in the building, so it made the game.
Now I
a
know
little more
college
exciting.
is working those knees a little tougher too.
Yeah, probably. Like I said, I mean, I tweaked this one this summer. We'll see how it goes, but
Yeah.
the right knee's just, we'll see how that ends up. But hanging in there. But yeah, I enjoy it.
All right. So you said that earlier that we were gonna talk about recruiting and need of officials. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up with your thoughts on that. What kind of notes did you have?
Yeah. So what's the challenge is, right? And if you want to get guys that are going to stick around and gals that stick around and do it, you got to find those people that have the passion for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Even though maybe you're a great player, maybe officiating's not for you, and that's my next point. It's not for everybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, just getting those folks out there and, I don't know what percentage stick with it. I mean, it's like in any job. We have turnover at my work. But, just finding those folks that have the passion for the game. Because what I really enjoy about it, you go to a loaded gym on Friday night. You got two good teams, 2,500 people there. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever ref up at Westview. I go up there usually once or twice a year, but it's you get just a huge crowd. It's loud.
Nice.
Friday night but you get games like that in the city here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all over, but Westview is one of those gyms. If you've never worked at, I think you need to get up there and do a game because.
Well, you need to tag me along.
I'll see what I can do, but that's a fun place to work and just the atmosphere up there. And it doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday or Fridays are the best up there usually, but anywhere. But you go up there and you usually get a big crowd and it's always fun. But yeah, just and like I said, it's not for everybody. So people are going to sign up and they'll be like, yeah, this just really isn't for me. But finding those people that have the love and the passion for the game, I think that's where that would be somewhere that I would really look for those people. And then on top of that, like with me, and I think what probably helped you two out as well, having a partner. Mm-hmm. Like you can go do that 5th and 6th grade game. Learn from each other. There's no big spotlight there. You can see plays. Hey, what did we do right? Hey, what did we do wrong?
Yep.
That kind of stuff. But having a partner and then having a mentor, or even on top of that, somebody like us, you can bounce things off of. Hey, this happened. Did I do that right?
Yep.
But having just somebody to work with on a regular basis, I feel like that would go a long way to keeping people around because, it's always fun to do stuff in pairs.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right.
So.
Okay, well, appreciate that. And I was over here taking furious notes because you had some good, and I think that's one point you brought up. I'm gonna check on that. What percentage of people who start officiating end up sticking with it? That's a great statistic.
I was looking at statistics the other day, and it said between 2018 and 2022, maybe. We lost over 50,000 officials nationwide.
And that was not only due to just COVID. It was some people
aged out.
But COVID contributed because a lot of guys were like, they were thinking about it, and then COVID hit, and all the things all the hoops we had to jump through just to go do a game. I mean, college officiating was ridiculous at that time. You had to get COVID tested every 2 days or something like that. It was crazy.
It was 24 hours before you went to do the game or something.
I think, So guys were like, you know what?
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
I've been thinking about hanging it up. I'm just.
Or some of them would test you right then and there right before the game, and it's like.
And when they first started, they had that long stick. About
that long.
And I think it's about that long.
Make your eyes water or bleed. I'm not sure.
Jam it up in your head.
And they go around your brain a couple times.
Yeah, good times.
If you didn't have COVID,
you said, Brian, good times.
Yeah, my eyes starting to water again already. It's like, wow, brings back memories.
Chokes
and
you
then
up.
You remember you guys had to wear the whistle cover?
Yeah.
You couldn't hear it. You blow your whistle, and you're the only one can hear it, or the electronic whistle.
And it was even softer.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. As you say, good times. Yeah, right. Yeah. Not to return.
Never. All right.
So
we got to wrap up now.
Yeah. And I want to just help a couple people remember what's going on with us. The Hoosier 3-on-3, I'm wearing it on my shirt here. We have a Hoosier 3-on-3 league coming up it's called a Harlan Back to School League. It's going to be every Friday starting September 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th. Want to encourage everybody to get involved with that because that's going to be a good time. And I just want to encourage you to go to www.hoosier3on3.com so you can get your kids involved with that. That's kids. We always get this question. I say 3rd through 12th graders. They go, now, the third graders going to
play the 12th graders?
Yeah, of course. 3rd grade team won it last year.
Yeah. No, folks, it's it's divisions, 3rd graders. We have a division for 3rd graders, 4th grade, all the way up to 12th grade. So different divisions, 3rd through 12th. And it's going to be played at Christian Community Center of Harlan. So that's Hoosier3on3.com.
We also have Ref Training School coming up in October.
That'll be basketball, correct?
That will
right
be basketball.
Now we have
officials, yep.
Right now we have what going on? What class right now?
We have volleyball right now, so we have volleyball class going on. So if you're interested in helping us out, seeing if you have a passion for officiating, go to reftrainingschool.com.
Yep.
With that,
guess we'll go ahead and close out. Brian, we appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. No, I enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
You are just a natural online, man. I mean, on air.
Next time you have to bring Deke.
Oh, okay, he would love this. Yeah, but I'll show him this, and he'll be like, "All right, when can we do it?"
Right. He's probably
he'll give you his favorite 5 concession stands that he's ever been to.
Oh yeah.
Who has the best popcorn?
Oh, we remember that out of our kids.
Yeah.
Our kids were like, can we go back to this school?
Who had the best hospitality room?
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, that was.
So just understand, when you become an official, when you join us, we get hospitality rooms from time to time.
From time to time, not
from
as
time
much
to time,
as we
when
used
emphasize
to.
Yeah, most people are pretty good. But
yeah.
But with COVID though, that kind of shut a lot of that down.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. I remember, and I'll say this before we close. I remember my favorite school to go to in Fort Wayne for a hospitality room used to be Northrop.
Okay.
Because every time we'd go there,
I liked Carroll.
Well, I loved Subway sandwiches back then. My man would always set us up for
Carroll
Subway.
used to have a spread though. They had people bringing the food in. I was like, oh, you're going to Carroll? Oh, I'm coming.
Yeah, Norwell always does a pretty good job.
Norwell does good.
Norwell.
And
Bluffton does a good job. I have to give shout out to my people.
as your ADs are watching this, just know we're calling you out because we want you to feed us.
We like food.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
you having me, man.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Take care, folks. We'll join us next time at Ref Time Podcast. Thank you. Thanks again for listening to Ref Time, powered by RefTrainingschool.com and Hoosier3on3.com. Produced by Coraggio Media, Ref Time is recorded in WELT Studios in beautiful downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana.
To join RTS, visit reftrainingschool.com. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Until next time.